Welcome to Scorecard on OGTV. Scorecard is brought to your viewing pleasure from the stable of the Government Delivery Unit under the supervision of Leko Nomusi. Leko Nomusi is the SA Special Advisor to the Governor on Delivery. And this is to say that all the affairs of ministries, departments and agencies of government are being looked through and doing a general overview. On that note, I welcome you to Scorecard today. My name is Morenikeji Shobaloju, and I'm not alone in the studio. Leko Nomusi will be taking us through to where we're going today and what ministry we will be looking at. Welcome to Scorecard.
Thank you very much, Morenikeji. Thank you for having us here today.
It is about your general review of all the ministries, departments and agencies of government. Housing sector is one important sector of government that falls under the social welfare and well-being of the governor's agenda, the Shaya agenda. What do you have to say about the housing sector?
Yes, thank you very much once again, Morenikeji. It's great pleasure to be here again in order to make another presentation. Today, as you know, that housing is one of the 5 pillars of this administration under the Ishaya mantras. The focus on housing is because of the importance of housing to the overall socio-economic environment of the state. And Prince Abeokuta, the executive governor of the state, gives very, very high credence to the provision of affordable accommodation to almost as much as possible of the citizenry of the states. You know, if you don't have accommodation, you need accommodation to live, to be able to be functional. And like you will know, provision of accommodation is one of the 3 basic needs of human existence. Immediately the governor came in that we got the mandate in 2019 because it's a key priority to the government. One of the first tasks that His Excellency had backed upon was to conduct a statewide housing stock audit to be able to tell or to understand exactly where we are as a state. They carried out the audit, and the result of the audit shows a reasonable amount of deficit. And one of the immediate plan was to develop an overall framework on how this deficit will be addressed and dealt with. The maiden project was the one at Idiaba, where there was a pilot scheme of about 100 units of housing that was put in place. The object of this is based on His Excellency's vision. Number 1, to make housing affordable to most people irrespective of the level of income that they are getting. And secondly, to make Ogun State the housing basket for Lagos State. We understand that he always speaks to the point of push and pull factor for Ogun State. Either we have just benefited from just being Ogun State next to Lagos State. But in His Excellency's wisdom, he feels that, look, we just can't rely on that. We have to initiate strategic things that will make Ogun State attractive to people in Lagos State, that they will find it convenient to live in Ogun State. So we have to provide the housing baskets, and that's one of the reasons why they actually embarked on that pilot scheme. We have been very functional, we have been very supportive to this ministry, and we have followed all the developments to date. And so far to date, I can tell you that they've done nothing less than 1,500 housing stock in the pace of 4 years. I mean, I'm very quick, and I keep saying this because of the severity and the importance, that all this were achieved within a pace of 2.5 years, which is different from when you have it for 4 years. Because 1.5 years of the 4 years that we have experienced was taken by COVID. So there was nothing that could be done. But here we are delivering so much stock of 1,500 in the last 2.5 years of operational times. You know, so we really need to commend and appreciate that particular fact, you know, that we see. So another intention of His Excellency is we are not going to be doing housing stock that is targeted at just the rich, that the rich only can afford. what he has done is that he has dedicated at least between 60 and 70% of the stock to people who are on the medium and low, lower income generating people, so that they can afford. Of course, they can have access to mortgages to support whatever they are doing. So that is one of the things that His Excellency has done in the housing stock. And key important also is that they have not focused on one senatorial district. You will see that all this housing investment has spread across each three senatorial districts. I mean, we are not going to hide the fact that there's been a kind of more cluster in the central compared to the east and the west. And that's for the obvious reason that we know that the central is the capital, and there's a lot of more economic values and more socio-economic strings involved in taking that decision. But notwithstanding, all the senatorial districts are benefiting from this particular housing revolution. And it's not the end of it. I can tell you that very confidently, because I'm sure and I pray that we are given His Excellency President Abeokuta is given another opportunity in another 4 years, and he will be able to substantially build on the present great works that he has done and bring them to fruition.
Let's quickly look at human capital development through this provision of affordable housing. I'm aware in one of these adverts of government where they say that the workers on site are drawn, the material used to build this housing unit are drawn from locally sourced, and also those working on site are also those people who live around these communities. What will be your reaction to this beautiful innovation, having to generate or create jobs amidst provision of affordable housing in the state? Do you also do a general overview of all these things? How do you say this?
I mean, to be very honest, nothing in this administration happens just like that. A lot of things and policy initiatives that you see are based on the clear intention of His Excellency and the cabinet that he has with him. His first priority is that, look, we want to build stock, but the people of the state must benefit from this. So my focus is on the people of Ogun State who have provided us with the mandate of this administration, and they must get the benefit of it. So it was part of his clear instruction to the Honorable Commissioner that you must engage local skills, you must engage local labors, you must engage local artisans, you must make sure our materials are sourced from within the local economy. Why is that? In order to boost the local economy. And that is what they have complied, that's what they've been doing. A lot of the artisans, a lot of the labors and the skills they use, a lot of the materials are sourced from Ogun River, they are sourced from Dangote Cement, they are sourced from Lafarge. All the skills are local skills, and the economic impact of this is very diverse for people to see. So I think it's a win-win situation. The government has done well, the people have benefited, people are living in the accommodation. Quite a number of people have taken up positions in the accommodations. There are still a few ones in work in progress. I'm sure with the elapse of time, those ones will be brought to completion and people will be given the opportunity. In the course of actually engaging on our overview activities, one of the key things that we wanted to know and confirm also was what is the take-up, what's the spread of the take-up, to be sure that, look, this thing is not, it's not skewed towards a particular income bracket. So we're able to carry out a critical analysis of all the beneficiaries, and we saw that substantial number of beneficiaries, people that benefited from the scheme, are people within the low and medium income. Of course, elders do have some access, and but predominant beneficiaries were people in the low and income, in line with the instruction of President Abeokuta.
Okay, that brings me to the beneficiary now. That brings me to the next question here. We have a lot of interest shown by the people. Okay, I'm interested. I want to be a beneficiary of this affordable housing. In your own general overview, do you have any idea of whether the available housing schemes, whether the available housing unit is able to meet up with the number of interest so far received by the ministry? Because a lot of people want this, and according to research, everybody wants to be beneficiary, want to be part of all these things. So do you have any idea of the ministry been able to meet up with, the demand?
I mean, the honest truth is very clear. The answer is no. There's no way the ministry can meet up with the volume of demand. And that is speaking to 2 or 3 reasons. Number one, the revenue, the resources required to meet all this demand is vast, and it's very difficult to meet within a particular short time space. Secondly, speaking to this quality of housing stock that is being generated, also with the price that is attached to it. When people bring these 2 variables together, the price and the quality, they see that this is a very good bargain. And because of that, as you finish one, volumes of interest generates again. So I'm sure the ministry is struggling to keep up with that level. But what they are doing is they are taking it a step at a time. They are taking it a step at a time and trying to meet the need. There's a wide difference between what they are doing and the demand
and the supply.
And it will only take time to mop up this difference.
So the ministry would continue building.
They will continue.
All right. While we await the Honorable Commissioner join us in the second segment of the program, you would want to round up by telling the people, how far and the feedback they are given or what they are getting from government and what more they should expect from government.
I mean, a critical part of our work is stakeholders engagement. So it's not just enough to initiate or throw out a policy or whatever and implement it. It's another thing to get the feedback from the people. How are they responding to it? How do they like it? Are they, So we get serious and wide range of feedback depending on the ministry that we are dealing with at a particular point in time. But the key feedback that we get from Ministry of Housing is simply because the number of people who are interested to be part of this, we celebrate that, we welcome that, we are excited with that. But we beg them to be understanding to the fact that these things are not like something you pick up from the from a shop. We have to prepare, the ground needs to be prepared, we have to get funding, we have to build, we have to make sure it meets health and safety standards, and a lot of things are involved that we have to make sure before we make them available for them. So we are struggling to meet up with demands at the moment, but we are trying our best to increase capacity, and also we must also commend again the effort of His Excellency, because he recognizes this gap and is trying his best to make sure he increase his support for this particular ministry. So my appeal to people is for them to show a bit more understanding, for them to understand why we are where we are, and that we are doing all we can to improve the situation. If we have done so much, providing over 1,500 stock within 2.5 years period, when previous administration were only able to provide about 1,600 in 16 years. If we can do 1,500 in 2.5 years, please give us another chance. And you will see that we will triple or quadruple these efforts. No one single government can deliver everything in one space. Government is a continuous. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for being part of the program today. And that's how far we'll go on this segment of the show. We'll be back to bring in the Honorable Commissioner for Housing, who will be talking to us fully on the activities of this ministry since the beginning of the administration of Governor Dapo Abeokuta in the state. Join us again. Yes, in case you're just tuning in to your television station, this is OGTV and the program is Scorecard on OGTV. You're welcome back. I need a roof over my head. To some people at home this time, you are aware that track or that line is credited to Bob Marley, where he's talking about the necessity of shelter. And of course, shelter is one of the basic human needs according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And the Ogun State government, under the leadership of Prince Dapo Abeokuta, is not treating this with a kid glove at all, as housing has been given a premium priority. With that, I welcome you today on your darling program, Scorecard, on OGTV. Scorecard is a program coming from the stable of the Ogun State Delivery Unit that is being monitored by Leko Nomusi. Leko Nomusi is the special advisor to the governor on delivery. And today we shall be looking at the importance of housing. I have with me in the studio the Honorable Commissioner for Housing, Jagumolu Jamiu Akode Omoniyi. Of course, he's coming here to tell us the achievement of Governor Dapo Abiodun since inception of office since 2019 up to date. How far have they gone? The provision of housing that was placed premium on, how far with all this? Well, I won't bore you with more questions. He's here to give answers to all our questions. Welcome to Scorecard.
Thank you.
Glad having you. You know, when I started, you were looking at me that, how come you're singing this? Of course, you know, when we're talking about shelter, we know how important it is to this administration, provision of affordable housing.
Yeah.
But looking at, you know, the days of this government, counting up to 4 years now, we are looking forward to another election. What has been the achievement in your ministry, bit by bit, since this administration came on board?
Well, if you talk about the housing sector as a whole in the last so up to 4 years of this administration, I'm privileged to have been part of it right from the beginning since July 2019. When we came in on board, we met a housing sector that wasn't energized, a housing sector that was not really motivated, a housing sector that was less untapped. And so this propelled us to look into what gains we could make in the housing sector, having realized the fact that housing is a privilege. It is a right of every citizen in Ogun State, and not as a privilege as otherwise taught by the previous administration. So the things we met on ground was that within the last 16 years, the last two governments in Ogun State have developed a total of about 1,200 houses over 16 years. And
that's huge one.
We set that by the side. We also went ahead to look at what the market request is. And we realized a very huge market in terms of housing in Ogun State. And that propelled us to look at what we will do as a dividend of democracy for our people who have entrusted Prince Dapo Abiodun with their mandate over the first 4 years, and that we have done the last 4 years, and now dovetailing into the next 4 years, God's willing. So we came up with this housing policy that really targets truly affordable housing delivery in Ogun State. A housing policy so that about 75% of our total delivery will target the low and the medium income class, while the rest targets the high end. And together, within the last 4 years, we are happy that this government of Prince Dapo Abiodun have delivered nothing less than 1,500 housing units for the low income, and about 350 units as well for the high end. I need to put on record that the housing sector as a whole in Ogun State, under my leadership, we have the Ogun State Ministry of Housing, we have the Ogun State Housing Corporation, and we also have the Ogun State Property and Investment Corporation. So OPIC. So the three agencies forms the Ogun State housing sector, and together we're championing that vision of Prince Dapo Abiodun to provide truly affordable housing for our people.
So far, you made mention of the units that are so far provided. Can we get to know the location and the details of, you said it is affordable, and I'm sure when we look at the way people want to have this shelter over their heads and, the aspiration of owning a house, has it been, as the experience, is it enough? You mentioned you have a target, but where are we now?
Well, the target as at May 29, 2019, when we came on board, was to deliver in the first time 2,500 housing units. And I would say with all sense of modesty that as of today, we started with Prince Court Estate, Kentai, Diaba, where we did the first set of 130,000 units, phase 1. The phase 2, we did another 180, and the phase 3, which is ongoing, we are doing another 250. So in that scheme alone, we have about over 500. And next we move to Kobakwe. Before now, Kobakwe was a very sleepy town. The only thing you know about Kobakwe is just a town, just a village you pass by as you go to Shagam. But today, Prince Abeokuta magic hand has been able to put Kobakwe on the global map. You could just type in now Kobakwe, and the first thing that comes to your attention on the internet is Kobakwe housing scheme. So at that location, we started with the phase 1, phase 2, and we are now doing the phase 3. Together, both the phase 1 and phase 2, we have a total of 300,000 units fully delivered, fully allocated, and now habited. On the phase 3, we are doing another about 235 housing schemes, made up of 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom. We are at the advanced stage now, and all things being equal, by the end of this administration, the first time of this administration, we will be doing the handing over and the allocation to the already pre-allocated subscribers. All right, so in that location, what I've just summarized is about about 535. Okay?
Almost 1,000 plus.
That's 1,000 plus. We are in Ilaro, as I speak, where we are doing 100,000 units. We are in Shagam, where we are doing 200,000 units. We are in Ijebu, where we are doing another 200,000 units. So if you put all this together, this government has done wonderfully well to put minimum of 1,500,000 units for Ogun people. And the implication of that is this: we have surpassed, within 3.5 years, we have surpassed the record of 16 years of 2 previous administrations. What they have built together, we have surpassed that within, say, 4 years. And mind you, within these 4 years, a whole year,
2 years
was,
for
we didn't do anything for
COVID-19.
COVID-19, we didn't do anything. So this is the magic that Prince Abeokuta has brought into play. And if you now go to the economic impact of these schemes, wow, the whole nation will continue to applaud this government and celebrate Prince Abeokuta's ingenuity in doing this. As a matter of fact, in 2020, Ogun State won an award for the best state in housing delivery in the whole of Nigeria. 2021, we have won it back to back again. And within the next few days, you also see what Ogun State has.
It's indeed a housing revolution, if I would say, that the government of Prince Abeokuta made it very clear when he came on board that I'm not promising everything, but I'll make sure that I leave Ogun State better than I met it. Of course, looking at all that you have said here, it shows to us that, okay, in terms of feedback, the people, the electorate are aware now that, okay, this is where we are. But considering the fact that a lot of people need to know how to be a beneficiary, even if we had a lot of them who have been the allottees, but for those who are not aware, they also want to know, how do people go about getting to own a house that is from the state government?
Well, the process is very simple. very, very simple and very straightforward too. Let me say this for the benefit of analysts out there that want to assess our government, we do have done in relation to our promises. Let me say this without mincing word, that our problem is not how to build, is not how to sell, but rather how to meet the market that is already on ground in terms of expression of interest. As a matter of fact, we are running behind schedule to meet up with the demand because people keep asking for these houses every day, not minding the marginal increase in the prices of selling prices because of the inflation in cost of building materials that we all see every day. We all know the cost of building materials has gone up and is going up almost on daily basis. But not minding those facts, people still want to buy these houses because we have demonstrated that capacity. We have demonstrated that yes, we have the interest of the people at heart, and above all, we are very transparent in everything that we do. And that takes me to your question of the process. All you need to do is just to walk in to our offices, whether you're in the formal sector or the informal sector, whether you're a civil servant or a sole proprietor or a business person. Okay, all you need to do is to demonstrate that you have the ability to make your payment or repayment, as the case may be. So you walk in, you get your form. Our form is very cheap, 5,000 naira, where is the first step to indicate interest. Immediately you submit that with all the necessary documentations. And what are the documents? Just your passport photograph, your means of ID, and that's all. We give you an offer letter based on the specific type you have chosen, and the location. So, because the prices varies, cost of land and so other inputs are not the same thing across all board. So, we give you the first expression of interest, which is like an offer letter, and that will state what and what you need to do. And one thing that is very pleasant in our offer letter is the fact that we are not asking you to pay so. All we request for you is pay initial deposit to a nominated government account and take that offer letter with evidence of your 10% deposit to Gateway Mortgage Bank, where you could access mortgages that are readily available. And the return period is not more than 2 weeks, 3 weeks for you to access your mortgage for every straightforward application. Once you're able to demonstrate, this is my streams of income, this is how I'm going to make your repayment, Gateway Mortgage Bank has the single digits long-tenured mortgages to give you. And I must applaud all service providers and financial institutions that have partnered with us, the likes of Family Homes, Nigeria Mortgage Finance Company, Federal Mortgage Bank, that provided the impetus and the needed funding for us to excel within the last minute. So these are all the basis that makes up our success story as a government.
I was coming to say that this is also made possible probably through the PPP arrangement of government, because public-private partnership approach to governance is what is key in the mind of Prince Dr. Abeokuta. You said 10% deposit should be made. Like for somebody going for, let's say, 6 million naira housing, then you would look for 600 naira to pay. That is in 600,000 as initial deposit. Once that is done, it is assured that after the mortgage is accessed, then the payment begins and the house becomes whoever's. After all this, is it going to be lifelong payment, or this house belongs to them the moment the payment is completed? Because we've had in the cases of a continuous of housing scheme of government.
No. There's no transaction that doesn't have an end. For every mortgage transaction, there's an entry period and there's an exit point. Like I said initially, I said the mortgage loans are long tenured, but single-digit interest rates. What that means is that you could take mortgages to finance your home acquisition based on set parameters, maybe your age, your length of service, and your desire.
Okay.
Okay. What I mean by desire is that you could take a mortgage now. I want to pay up within the next 5 years. That is your desire. But the minimum, as stipulated in the Constitution and the enabling laws, is that for every mortgage they look at your age, because they expect that by the time you are 60 years of age, you should not pay any other mortgage. You should retire. So that is the way it works. However, most people prefers short tenure to pay off and begin to enjoy.
Oh, you can actually pay off.
Of course.
So if you have if you are well to do.
Yeah.
All these housing units we're talking about, is it just basically for those who are indigents, or it's open to everybody that no matter where you're from, but if you show interest?
You see, the policy directive of this administration is to open up Ogun State, and our theme when we talk about housing is to make Ogun State a place where people could live, work, and play. What it means is that it's open for all Nigerians, both at home and in diaspora, that want to have Ogun State as a place for them to live, work, and play. So it's open. We are welcome to live in Ogun State. We are welcome to do business in Ogun State and do your economic activities according to the laws of the land, and be a good citizen of Ogun State. So everyone is welcome to partner with us.
Okay, I saw in one of the adverts where the governor was talking about King's Court Estate, where is for, I think that is for high-class individuals. How far about this?
I did mention initially that OPIC is one of us in the housing sector. All right, so OPIC channels our effort and resources into building the high-end. So this started with the King's Court Estate. The King's Court Estate initially, which was the first scheme, was about 60 units of 4-bedroom detached bungalow, and that was a scheme that was inaugurated and commissioned by Mr. President January 13, 2022, when he was when he paid us that visit, that wonderful visit in Ogun State. So that has been fully delivered. People are living there now as I speak.
Wow.
And so the second phase is ongoing, and that comprises of different house types, terrace duplexes, block of flats, and the marketing is also wonderful. The response from the public is also wonderful. So that is that for.
Will this government ever meet with the show of interest from people? Because you need to see how people are yearning. Even if you try to sample people's opinion, they want to get this affordable. They want to be part. They want to be beneficiary. Will the state government been under this current government? We've been able to meet up with all this demand?
You see, we are taking everything step by step. We don't bite more than we can chew. For now, we have placed a temporary embargo on sale of homes. We want to deliver on the ones that we already committed to. So once that is executed and delivered, we'll move on. We open up the portal again for people to express their interest, and we'll see, based on availability of what we want to do, and the different schemes. When we get to that point, we also shut the portal and go forward to deliver on what we have on ground.
What you have on ground.
Yeah.
Okay, we're looking at communities where we have, because this is spread across all the senatorial districts of the state. And you said some are still ongoing. Is there any future intention, even if you talk about the units, 100 units, I think you said in Ilaro. Okay, do you also have a future plan whereby you extend the unit available in in communities like that, in governments like that?
For every scheme that we embark on, there's always plan for expansion in case there's an upsurge in in demand. So for the like of Vilaro, we've only done like 25% of the entire land mass that we have on ground.
Okay.
The people, as demand comes in, we'll go back to the drawing table to extend. And so on. Ijebu, Shagamu, and even other locations that we've not even started. Take for instance that of Ilishan and Iperu. We are doing 200,000 units there for a start to complement the aviation village, because definitely those that will work in the aviation sector, the cargo airports, we definitely look forward for a place to live. Okay, while some developers and investors will want to do the high end for definitely the support staff will also need a place. So we have that plan, and as a matter of fact, we've already mapped out and we're just ready to clear. We have the approval to start work immediately.
I was even looking at the fact that the concentration is more on Abeokuta, development is high in this part, maybe because
this is the state capital. This has more economic activity more than any other location. So it is just normal that most of our housing activity centers around this location. But that is not to deprive any other location, any other territorial district, their due advantage. As demand comes, we are ready to move in there and start doing the needful in terms of breaking the soil and putting blocks and mortars together. Yeah.
Okay, before we get to the other segment, which is giving us a summary of what you have said in Yoruba, I want to quickly I want to ask you that, we said in all the senatorial districts, can we get to know the lists of where these housing units are according to the senatorial districts?
Okay. For Ogun Central, we have nothing less than about 900,000 units in the Central. In the East, we have about 200, 250, about 300, so to say. And in the West, we have about, say, 200. So that is what we have on ground today. However, by our plan and projection, each of these senatorial districts will be at par by the time we explore all the opportunities that we have on ground.
So we have in Ilaro, we have in Ijebu, and Shagamu
Ota is on the table.
Okay. Then we have Abeokuta. Okay, thank you. We want to quickly ask you, tell our viewers, you summarize all that you have said in Yoruba, all that you have said in English. You have to give us a summary in Yoruba, whether you have a promise you want to make, whether you have a charge to the people, you add everything together and give us a summary. Then you now come back again, tell us a summary of, you round it up by, giving us the economic impact of all of these things in the lives of the people of the state. That will be our parting shot. Thank you.
All right. Moki Nyolotu. Iṣẹ́ takuntakun tí ọ̀gá wa Ọmọọba Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún tí ìjọba wọn ti ṣe nínú ọdún 4 sẹ́yìn lórí ètò ilé gbígbé ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn ó jẹ́ nǹkan àmúyangàn tó wúyàn lórí, tó sì jẹ́ pé nǹkan tí ò ṣẹlẹ̀ rí ní Ògùn state ni. Èyí jẹ́ pé nǹkan àmúyangàn tí gbogbo orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà tí wọ́n tọ́ka sí Ògùn state pé àwa ni ìpínlẹ̀ tó ṣe dáadáa jù nípa ètò ilé gbígbé ní ọdún 2020, ní ọdún 2021, ọdún 2022 tó kọjá yìí ó tún jẹ́ pé láìpẹ́ jọjọ ẹ tún máa rí pé àwọn nǹkan wà nílẹ̀ tí a ti kó jọ tá a rẹ̀ ń pòpọ̀ láìpẹ́ yìí tí ẹ tó máa tún fi jẹ́ oríyìn fún ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn. Ní àkójọ ìjọba Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún rí pé ẹ̀tọ́ ọmọ ènìyàn, ọmọ Ògùn state ní ètò ilé gbígbé, kì í ṣe pé àǹfààní fún àwọn díẹ̀. Eléyìí ló jẹ́ ká mú iṣẹ́ ètò ilé gbígbé ní ọ̀kúnkúndùn, pàápàá jùlọ ètò àwọn ilé alábọ́dé fún àwọn mẹ̀kúnnù. àwọn ilé tí à ń ṣe yìí tí ìgbà tá a bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní 2019 a kọ́kọ́ ṣe Prince Court Estate ní Kenta Ìdíàbà a ṣe lé bíi 130 a tún kúrò ń bẹ̀ a tún ṣe phase 2 bá a ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ lọ́wọ́ a ṣe phase 3 ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ àkójọ wọlé tó wà ń bẹ̀ yẹn ó ní 105 a tún súnkẹ̀rẹ̀ a tún bọ́ sí Kọ́bapẹ́ ìyẹn ló wá jẹ́ kí gbogbo ẹ̀ kó wá gbìnàyà tí ètò ilé gbígbé wá jẹ́ nǹkan tó jẹ́ pé ní abẹ́ ìjọba Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún yìí pé ẹnu kálukú ló wà bí wọ́n bá máa sọ lọ́tún Dàpọ̀ ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ bí wọ́n bá sọ lọ́sì yellow revolution tó yẹ pé akànṣe wò pé kàṣàkàṣà la ṣe ń rí késekése ṣe ń bọ̀ lẹ́yìn ní Kọ́bapẹ́ a ti ṣe agbo kìíní agbo kejì tó yẹ pé 100 nìyẹn lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ mo ṣe ń sọ yìí agbo ilé kẹta ó ń lọ lọ́wọ́ yẹ pé gbogbo yẹn ń lọ bíi ó lé díẹ̀ ní 200 àpapọ̀ gbogbo ẹ̀ tẹ́wọ́n máa fi di April May ọdún tá a wà yìí a máa fún àwọn tí ó ti bá a dòwò pọ̀ níbẹ̀ a máa fún wọn ní kọ́kọ́rọ́ lé wọn lágbára Ọlọ́run torí iṣẹ́ ti dé ibi tó ní àpẹẹrẹ gẹ́gẹ́ bá a ṣe ń sọ yìí tàbá tún súnkẹ̀rẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ a tún wà ní Ìjẹ̀bú Òde àdúgbò kan wà tá à ń pè ní Ìtànrin ní Ìjẹ̀bú Òde à ń ṣe lébi 200 lọ́wọ́ báyìí àti rúfẹ́ pẹ̀lú yellow revolution náà ni àwọn infrastructure àwọn nǹkan tí ètò iná ọ̀nà drainage nǹkan kan yẹn là ń ṣe lọ́wọ́ báyìí bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni ní Ṣàgámù the same stage náà ni àwọn ilé ti wà níbẹ̀ ilé bí 200 náà ti wà níbẹ̀ kákan ṣe àwọn ètò ní sọ̀ràǹdì yẹn tí ó máa àwọn ètò náà ètò ọ̀nà gọ́tà tó ń dọ́mígéré fẹ́ǹsì kankan ìyẹn náà là ń ṣe lọ́wọ́ báyìí a tún wà ní Ìjẹ̀bú Òde ní ẹ̀wọ̀n a ti sọ ti Ìjẹ̀bú Òde a tún wà ní ìlú Ìlaró ní ẹkùn Ògùn West ilé bíi 100 náà ti wà ń bẹ̀ the same thing náà ni a tún ṣe lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí gbogbo ìgbìyànjú wa ni pé tí ó máa fi di May ní ọdún yìí lágbára Ọlọ́run a lè parí àwọn tó ti dòwò pọ̀ pẹ̀lú wa a lè fún wọn ní kọ́kọ́rọ́ tá a bá kó gbogbo nǹkan tí a ti ṣe yìí pọ̀ ó ti lé ní bíi 1,500.
That's 1,500.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni nígbà tá a bẹ̀rẹ̀ wẹ́rẹ́ láti 2019 ká má gbàgbé pé gẹ̀rẹ́ tá a bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìjọba yìí láti 2020 láti kó sí ọ̀rọ̀ COVID tó yẹ pé kálukú gbélé ẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n Ọlọ́run fún wa ní oore ọ̀fẹ́ torí pé a ní ọ̀gá tí ó mọ nǹkan tó ń ṣe tó dẹ̀ ní ìfọkànsí eléyìí jẹ́ pé gbogbo ìgbà tí ká gbélé nǹkan kan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn ètò ilé kíkọ́ ó ń lọ lábẹ́lẹ̀ tó yẹ pé ìgbélé tí COVID ti tán lásọpọ̀ afẹ́ ṣe commission tí wọ́n táwọn èèyàn ń béèrè pé ìgbà ó lẹ́yìn ṣé ó hù mọ́jú ni bet iṣẹ́ ọpọlọ ni ká gbé òṣùbà sàdánkátà fún ọ̀gá wa Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún àti gbogbo àwọn tó jọ wà ní ẹkùn tí ó make up housing sector ní Ogun State so tá a bá wo gbogbo nǹkan tí ìjọba yìí ti ṣe láàrin ọdún kan àtààbọ̀ láàrin ọdún mẹ́rin yìí a rí wípé nǹkan tí ò ṣẹlẹ̀ rí ni torí nǹkan tó bá wí ohun tó bá jọ ohun náà la fi ń wé ohun àbí tá a bá wo ìjọba méjì tí ó ti kọjá lẹ́yìn gbogbo ilé tí wọ́n kọ́ kò ju bí 1,200 lọ ká wá fi wo nǹkan tí ìjọba yìí ti ṣe ní àárín ọdún mẹ́rin péré ẹ rí i pé kò tiẹ̀ ó yàtọ̀ gédégédé kò tiẹ̀ ṣe é súnmọ́ra wọn rárá bẹ́ẹ̀ àti ẹ̀ tí bẹ̀rẹ̀ rárá àti ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ torí gbogbo èrò ọkàn ìjọba yìí ni pé a fẹ́ jẹ́ kí àwọn èèyàn túmọ̀ wá gbogbo ọmọ Nàìjíríà àtàwọn tó wà nílé àti lẹ́yìn odi kí wọ́n mú géré Ògùn State gẹ́gẹ́ bí ibi tí wọ́n lè gbé tí wọ́n lè ṣiṣẹ́ tí wọ́n lè fi ọkàn balẹ̀ láti ṣe okòwò wọn tó gbogbo àwọn nǹkan yìí ló jẹ́ ní à ń ṣe láti fi complement effort government àti other sectors láti lè mú ayé rọrùn fún àwọn èèyàn wa tá bá wá wo ọ̀rọ̀ ilé yìí olóòtú ìjọba yìí kò dúró níbi pé kákan kọ́ ilé yìí nìkan, gbogbo ọ̀nà tí wọ́n lè ṣe pátápátá láti fi lè jẹ́ pé kí àwọn tó máa rà kó ayé rọrùn fún wọn ni wọ́n ti gbé kalẹ̀ through ilé ìfowópamọ́ Gateway Mortgage Bank, ìyẹn báǹkì tó ń yá yín lówó láti ṣe bóyá mo fẹ́ kọ́lé ni o, bóyá mo fẹ́ ra lé ni o. Ká má gbàgbé pé Ogun State náà ló ní Gateway Mortgage Bank. So ara àwọn ètò tí ìjọba ẹ̀ ti ṣe sílẹ̀ nìyẹn. Ká sì dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn àjọ agencies tí ó ti dòwòpọ̀ pẹ̀lú Gateway Mortgage at Ogun State, especially Nigeria Mortgage Finance Company. Àwọn ló gbé owó rọ̀gbọ̀nrọ̀gbọ̀ sílẹ̀ bí over 2 billion ni wọ́n gbé sílẹ̀ fún Gateway tí wọ́n fi ń yá àwọn èèyàn díẹ̀ àwọn tó bá fẹ́ ra ilé. Ẹni tí ó bá fẹ́ ra ilé wa, ìbáà jẹ́ oníṣẹ́ oṣù ni o, ìbáà jẹ́ oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́ ni o, ìbáà jẹ́ aládàáni, gbogbo wọn ni àǹfààní wà fún. Nǹkan tó sì ní láti ṣe ni pé ìdá 10% owó ilé ẹ nìkan ni báǹkì yìí máa rọ̀ ẹ́ pé kó o san. Tó bá ti ṣe yẹn tán, báǹkì yìí máa process ìdá 9% tó kù láti fi lè bá ẹ san owó. O sì ní orí ọ̀fẹ́ láti lè san owó yìí fún bí ọdún 5, 10, 15 bẹ́ẹ̀ bó bá ṣe rọ kálukú lọ́rùn ni. Ṣùgbọ́n tá a bá rẹ́ni tó sọ pé òun fẹ́ ṣe láàrin ọdún 3, àǹfààní wà fún kó san tán, kó gbàwé ilé ẹ̀, kí ilé ẹ̀ di tiẹ̀ ni. So àwọn ètò yìí ní ìjọba Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún ti ṣe ní lórí ètò ilé gbígbé.
I want to say this, that recently Ogun State was rated the state that generates more revenue. Okay, can we now say that at this moment the type of housings that we have across all these divisions, we have 3-bedroom, like you said, we have 2 bedrooms, it depends on what the interest is. Let's now look at this economic impact of all this to the state government.
Wow, you see, if you talk about the economic impact of this laudable scheme, the housing sector, it's been one that has been so fantastic and wonderful in the sense that our contribution to Ogun State GDP is immeasurable. Why am I saying this? We have on the average about 500 to 1,000 workers on the site, working on our site every day. Okay? So we have 1,000 people earning on average of about say 4,500 naira. Okay? You know what I mean?
Yes, that's a whole lot.
Okay, so you could extrapolate that and see how much we inject into the economy on daily basis. And multiply that by the number of employment, over 25,000 that we have generated over time.
You're creating jobs.
We're creating jobs. Because our houses, the innovation that we brought into development of these houses is that we do everything on direct labor method. The approach is such that we use artisans from each locality. We draw them from each locality where we have these houses. Like for instance, the one we do in Kobape and Kenta, we draw our artisans from Obafemi Owode, neighboring local government, Obafemi Owode, Abeokuta North, Abeokuta South, okay, and Newekoro. So, at any point in time, all these are drawn to complement what we do on site. So, you have more than enough bricklayers, you have the roofers, you have the welders, you have the aluminum, you have the carpenters, all of them working at different stages of a construction activity. Okay. So, if you put this on the average, for each house that you build, about 15 artisans work on it. And if you do 15 multiplied by the 1,500 houses that this subdivision have done, I'm sure you get a figure. Okay? Now, on the average of about 25,000 people that have worked so far, each one of them have a family link of about say 4 or 5. You either have a mother to cater for, or father, have a wife, 2 children, 2 or 3 children. So for one person that is working on site has an attachment of 5 or 6 people. If you also extrapolate that, what it means is that we are providing means of sustainability for nothing less than 150,000 people at a go. So the economic impact is that we inject a minimum of about 160 million naira as daily wages to people on monthly basis. And this is what we have steadily done within the last, say, 3 years of our construction activity. I'm sure if you put that, those who are good in mathematics, you will know that we have done billions of transactions within this ecosystem within the last 3 years. And that is a kudos for Mr. That's not all. For every construction site, you have over 10 suppliers doing granite, sand, blocks. Don't even go to the block, because for each site, we have nothing about, say, 10 block molders, okay? And each one is manned by 4 or 5 people. So for block molding alone, you have about 50 people on that segment. You have over 10 to 20 suppliers doing granite, sand, plants, and things like that, okay? Then the woman who is selling mama put,
the woman who is fetching water
outside. The woman who is selling drinks. So who is selling paraga. You have all this within the system. Because you cannot shy away from the truth. That is the typical site that we manage. That we manage. So you have a retinue of all these service providers ranging nothing less than about, say, 50 on daily basis. And each one of them making sales of nothing less than, say, 5,000. The woman who started with 5,000 average revenue on daily basis before we started the site would have increased to about, say, 25,000 to 25,000. So you know the implication of this to the global economy of the state. Again, all our materials are sourced locally in Ogun State, and I'll tell you why. Ogun State is home to Lafarge and Dangote Cement. They supply our cement 100%.
And we have the granite.
We have the granite in Ogun State. Aside that, the guys who are doing this yellow roof you are seeing at your background are in Ogun State and paying their taxes in Ogun State. So everything is domiciled within this ecosystem.
No wonder in between this administration we had a lot of awards to the governor, and the state was rated, like I said earlier, I think 1st to 5th position in the highest revenue generated state of the country. And that's a huge one. It means that your ministry and other ministry have been a contributing factor to this achievement of the state government, and that is why no doubt about that. But it's scorecard, so this is expected. Thank you, Honorable Commissioner, for being part of the program today, and it's nice knowing that your ministry has done a lot in this short period of time, even in the face of COVID-19 that interrupted the government activities. Thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you.
You've heard it all. When a provision of affordable housing is done by government, it is expected that a meaningful life is provided for the people, and that is just to justify the purpose of having democracy. On that note, we've come to the end of today's program, Scorecard on